I've been completely hooked on Rock is a Lady's Modesty since its explosive premiere, and Episode 3, which aired on April 17, 2025, has only tightened its grip on me. This episode is a chaotic, sweaty, and unapologetically bold continuation of the series' journey, blending raw emotion, musical intensity, and character-driven drama in a way that left me both exhilarated and contemplative. I'm thrilled to unpack this episode through several thematic lenses: character dynamics, visual and auditory artistry, thematic depth, and narrative progression. Because there's so much to love, question, and anticipate here. Buckle up, because this review is going to dive deep into why this episode is a standout, even if it's not without its quirks. Let's start with the heart of this episode: the electrifying dynamic between Lil Isa and Odoha Kuragain. I absolutely adore how their relationship is portrayed as a volatile mix of rivalry, attraction, and mutual liberation. Episode 3 picks up with Lil Isa still wrestling with her desire to maintain her noble maiden facade at Ocean Girls Academy, while Odoha relentlessly pursues her to jam again. I love how Odoha's unapologetic, almost feral energy, calling Lil Isa out and challenging her to embrace her true self, feels like a seductive dare. There's no subtlety here, and I'm all for it. The dialogue, especially Odoha's provocative taunts, is dripping with sapphic tension. I mean, when Odoha calls Lil Isa a C***antiche-licking guitarist in the heat of their post-jam frenzy, I was floored by the sheer audacity. It's not just shock value. It feels like a raw expression of their connection, where music becomes a language for desires they can't yet voice. That said, I'm a bit torn about Lil Isa's characterization in this episode. I really appreciate how her internal conflict between her rock star soul and her need to conform is portrayed through her snappy inner monologue. Akira Sekine's voice acting is phenomenal here, but I personally don't understand why she's so stubbornly resistant to Odoha's pull. The episode explains her drive to secure the noble maiden title for her mother's social standing, but I think it could have dug deeper into her emotional stakes. Why is this facade so vital to her? I anticipate we'll get more backstory, but right now, Lil Isa feels slightly one-dimensional compared to Odoha's larger-than-life presence. Still, their climactic jam session, where Lil Isa finally picks up the guitar, is a cathartic payoff. I was practically cheering when she let loose, proving she can match Odoha's intensity. The episode ends on a cliffhanger, hinting at a potential band forming, and I'm beyond excited to see how their dynamic evolves. Visually, this episode is a treat, and I can't stop raving about how Rock is a Lady's Modesty balances its contrasting aesthetics. The bright, pristine hallways of Ocean Academy clash beautifully with the gritty, abandoned schoolhouse where the girls rock out. I really appreciate the watercolor-like backgrounds that give the series a soft, almost delicate vibe, only to be shattered by the raw energy of the performance scenes. The 3D CG for the jam session, with motion capture by bandmates Kanami and Akane, is a highlight. I was skeptical about CG in a music anime, but I think they nailed it. The cel-shaded models blend surprisingly well, and the animation captures every beat of sweat and wild hair flip. There's a POV shot from inside Odoha's bass drum that had me grinning. It's inventive and immersive, pulling you into the chaos. On the flip side, I didn't like how abrupt the transition to CG felt at times. It's not seamless, and I think it slightly disrupts the flow. But the sheer passion in those scenes makes up for it. The color palette, with its bold reds and purples during the performance, screams rebellion, and I love how the animators lean into cartoonish expressions for the girls. Lil Isa's wide-eyed panic and Odoha's manic grin are pure gold. Director Shinya Watada's Aikatsu roots shine through in the playful silliness, while Yasufumi Soejima's JoJo's bizarre adventure influence adds a touch of weird, vibrant flair. I also anticipate more of these creative angles as the series progresses. Maybe a shot from Lil Isa's guitar strings next. The sound design is where this episode truly soars. Bandmates ready to rock as the opening theme sets the tone perfectly, and the in-episode track, a cover of Light's Ghost Dance, is an absolute banger. I love how the music feels alive, syncing perfectly with the girls' movements. However, I'm not entirely sold on the name drops of bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Linkin Park. I think they feel a bit dated for a 2025 anime, and I personally would have preferred references to more timeless or underground acts. Still, the sound mixing, from the crunch of Lil Isa's guitar to the thunder of Odoha's drums, is so visceral that I felt like I was in the room with them. I really appreciate how the show doesn't shy away from the wetness of it all, sweat, passion, and all. Thematically, Episode 3 dives deeper into the series' core tension: rebellion versus conformity. I love how the show uses rock music as a metaphor for breaking free from societal expectations, especially for women. Lil Isa's struggle to suppress her love for guitar to fit the Yamato Nadeshiko ideal is heartbreakingly relatable. The headmistress's harsh words about Lil Isa lacking service and sacrifice hit hard, and I think they effectively highlight the sexist pressures she faces. This episode also touches on class anxiety. Lil Isa's fear of being seen as common drives her, and I really appreciate how the show doesn't shy away from these social dynamics. That said, I'm against how the high-class world of Ocean is portrayed in such a parodic, almost cartoonish way. I think it risks undermining the seriousness of Lil Isa's stakes. The exaggerated elegance of the Academy feels like it's played for laughs, which clashes with the more grounded moments of her class anxiety. Still, the episode's exploration of music as liberation is spot on. When Lil Isa and Odoha jam, it's not just a performance, it's a middle finger to the system. I also anticipate the show will introduce more characters to flesh out this theme, maybe other girls who feel trapped by the Academy's rules. Overall, Rock is a Lady's Modesty Episode 3 is a wild, passionate ride that cements the series as a standout in the girls' band genre. I love its unapologetic queerness, its visual and auditory flair, and its bold thematic swings. The chemistry between Lil Isa and Odoha is electric, and the music scenes are some of the best I've seen in recent anime. That said, I think the show needs to flesh out Lil Isa's motivations and smooth out its pacing to reach its full potential. I'm against some of the overly parodic elements, but they don't detract from the episode's raw energy. I really appreciate how this series embraces its freakiness, and I anticipate it'll only get wilder from here. If you're into Yuri, rock music, or stories about defying expectations, this is a must-watch. I'm already counting down to Episode 4, guitar in hand and ready to rock.